Ahoy there, mateys, and welcome back to Saveitforparts. Now, I can't keep up this pirate accent through the whole video, but I'm here to tell you a little more about some of my larger boat projects. Now, if I could keep up the pirate accent through the whole video, that might be a whole new YouTube style. And I don't think I'm quite ready to go that way yet, because it makes my throat pretty hoarse. Today I wanted to talk about one of my larger boat projects. I grew up in Southeast Alaska, and I lived in Southeast Alaska for quite a while until I moved down to the Midwest. Now, a number of years ago, I had an opportunity to pick up a larger boat, and this was a 24-foot long Bayliner Buccaneer sailboat. You can already see the pirate theme creeping in again. And the backstory behind this boat was it was owned by an older fellow who passed away, and it was left at the dock in a small town in Southeast Alaska. When a small town ends up with some abandoned boats, whether the owner has died, moved, or is otherwise unable to pay storage fees or harbor fees, some of these boats will be up for grabs. And you can often talk to a small town harbor master and find out what boats do they have available for free or for minimal amounts of money. Now, originally, I was offered this sailboat for $100, and I went and took a look at it, and I turned up my nose and I said, this is a terrible boat, in terrible condition, it's not worth $100. So, a few months later, I was back in college, and my dad called me up, and he said, hey, do you remember that sailboat? It's available for free now. Do you want it? And I said, yeah, okay, it's worth free. So my dad used to fish for a living. He was a commercial salmon trawler in Alaska. He owned his own boat. He was self-employed. And my sister and I would occasionally work for him as crew, as deckhands. And so at the end of the fishing season, my dad tied this sailboat onto his fishing boat and towed it home. And he later told me that it was a terrible thing to tow because it had been sitting for so long. There were several feet of barnacles and mussels and other garbage growing on the bottom of this boat hull. So this video is going to be more of a slideshow because I don't have a lot of video of this boat project, but I do have a lot of photos of my progress. Now, when my dad towed this boat home, it was in pretty rough shape. This was a 1970s boat. It had sat out in the elements in the ocean for quite a long time. And about the only thing it had going for it was that it didn't leak and wasn't currently sinking. So that was a good start. My mom suggested that we name this sailboat Pagoo. And this was in reference to a book that I really enjoyed as a child about a little hermit crab named Pagoo. And it goes into a lot of the natural history and the life cycle of hermit crabs. So I came back from college and I had this junky boat in the yard. And my parents had pulled it up on the beach. They had gotten it out of the water and built a wooden framework to rest the boat on, and then winched that framework up above the high tide line. So I had this boat, and I didn't know how to sail. I had really never sailed a boat before. I had always used motors or paddles. So I went to work fixing it up, and at the same time I grabbed some books on sailing and decided to teach myself some of the basics. When I went to actually register and get a title for this boat, I found all kinds of interesting history on it from the state registration office, and they said it had been used as a charter tour boat, it had been used as a commercial halibut fishing boat, and it had had all kinds of strange history that I never knew about. So I kind of started by tearing out the interior of the boat and pulling out all of the horrible 1970s fixtures and furnishings and rotten woodwork and horrifying shag orange carpeting, which was apparently the thing in the 70s. So I ripped all of that out, and I ripped out all of the electrical wiring, and I put in new electrical wiring. I put in new carpeting in a few places, and I put in new vinyl in a few other places to cover the interior of the boat. I rebuilt quite a few of the cabinets, the seats, the table for the dinette, put in some other paneling, and rebuilt the little kitchenette area, and then got new cushions for the dinette, which can fold down into another bed for several people. I even went so far as to pull out all of the windows and redo the gaskets and ceiling around those windows so that they wouldn't leak. And on the exterior of the boat, my parents to scrape off all of those barnacles and mussels and nasty things that were growing on the hull. So all I had to do was basically sand it down, fix up a few damaged areas of the fiberglass, and then repaint it. And then on the top side of the hull, I redid quite a bit of the rigging. So the mast was kind of screwed up. We had to take that down. I reran the electrical wiring up the mast for the lights and for a radio antenna, and we reran some of the standing and running rigging that makes a sailboat sail. And then once we were done fixing the mast, raise it by putting a winch and pulley system on a nearby tree. And of course this did not come with sails because the original 1970s sails probably rotted decades ago. So I was able to go online and find very similar sails. I believe a Catalina 22 ended up having sails that were almost identical to this boat. I also beefed up the rigging a little bit because we didn't have a lot of frou-frou sailing yachty stuff around, and nobody can afford West Marine. So I ended up using a lot of commercial fishing gear for some of my rigging. That made it a little bit heavier, but it also made it a little bit sturdier. And this particular boat model was never intended as a high-performance racing yacht. This was designed more as a family cruiser or kind of the minivan of sailboats. So once I had this all put back together, we launched it again, and I slapped on an old outboard that we had, and I taught myself to sail. And I was fortunate enough to have an occasional summertime neighbor who was a professional sailor, and so I got a little bit of instruction. But a lot of my instruction was self-taught from various books on sailing by trial and error. Mostly didn't run into anything. And made a lot of sloppy, zigzagging paths all over Thunder Bay where I lived until I was pretty confident with being able to navigate and sail this boat. So then some of the longer trips that I took included going into Juneau and then sailing back out to Elfin Cove, where I was continuing to work with my dad as the crew on his fishing boat. So here's my boat next to my dad's fishing boat, the Imperial. It usually took me 2 days to get from Thunder Bay to Elfin Cove. You had to time things both with the wind and currents because there are a couple narrow channels along the way which are easier to go through at certain stages of the tide. Now eventually I moved away from Alaska, and when I moved to the Midwest, I could not really take my sailboat with me. I actually did look into it, and I found out that it is incredibly expensive to transport a 24-foot sailboat cross-country to Minnesota. So I decided to sell Pagoo. Now, of course, I was a little sad to sell my boat, but that's how it goes. And I'm happy to know that it's gone through a few different owners since then, and I hope that they've all had a good time with it. So that's about all I have on the Pagoo project and the history of my 24-foot sailboat. And if you've sat through my entire slideshow, then I applaud you. And please go ahead and subscribe and like this video. And check out some of my other videos, which have a little more actual video and less slideshow, and probably a little more action. That's all for now.